Last week I went to my husband's memorial service. And his business partner stood up in front of everyone and said I was the reason Callum never had peace in his life. Then the receptionist from his office, the one who always refilled the water coolers, stood up. Before I tell you what she said, if you like these stories, please like and subscribe. Okay, let's start from the beginning. My name is Lorna. I am 28 years old. I met Callum when I was 23. He was 31. I was temping at his company. He owned a tech firm that did something with cloud storage for hospitals. I never really understood it, if I'm honest. He explained it once over dinner and I nodded along, but my brain just couldn't hold on to it. We got married 6 months later. Everyone said it was too fast. My mum cried at the wedding, and not in a happy way. She kept saying I didn't know him well enough. But Callum was kind. He remembered things I said. He bought me the specific brand of tea I liked without me asking. His life was busy. I knew that going in. He traveled twice a month. Sometimes 3 times. He had a second phone for work. A black iPhone that he kept in his car mostly. He said it was so clients could reach him anytime. I thought that sounded stressful, but he said that's just how business worked at his level. We lived in a nice house. Not a mansion or anything. Just a 4-bedroom detached with a conservatory that got too hot in summer. I kept working my data entry job. Callum said I didn't have to, but I liked having something that was mine. Plus I got bored at home. His business partner was a man named Hugo. Hugo wore expensive watches and always smelled like cologne that probably cost more than my weekly shop. He called me sweetheart in a way that made my shoulders tense up. Callum and Hugo had been friends since university. They started the company together in Hugo's garage apparently. Hugo's wife was named Petra. She did Pilates 4 times a week and had that kind of blonde hair that looks expensive to maintain. She was nice enough to me. But in that way where you know someone's being polite because they have to be. We'd go to dinners at their house sometimes. The kind where there's 3 forks and you're not sure which one to use first. I always watched what Petra did and copied her. One time I used the wrong spoon for soup and Hugo laughed and said, "Bless her, she's learning." Callum squeezed my hand under the table but didn't say anything. I never made a fuss. That's just not who I am. My mum raised me to be quiet and grateful. Don't cause problems. Don't draw attention. Just smile and get on with things. 3 weeks ago Callum went on a business trip to Edinburgh. He kissed me goodbye in the kitchen. I was still in my dressing gown. He said he'd be back Thursday. It was Monday. Wednesday night I got a phone call from Hugo. I was watching something on Netflix. Some baking show. Hugo's voice was shaking. He said there'd been an accident. A car crash on the M6. Callum was gone. I remember I just stood up. I don't know why. Like standing up would make it make more sense. Hugo kept talking but I couldn't really hear the words properly. It sounded like he was underwater. The next few days were a blur. People came to the house. Petra brought a casserole in a glass dish. She hugged me and her perfume made me feel sick. Hugo sorted out most of the funeral arrangements. He said I shouldn't have to deal with the details. I just nodded. I kept expecting to cry. Like really cry. But I felt numb. Like I was watching everything happen to someone else. The memorial was held at this big hotel. The kind with chandeliers and carpet that's too thick. Hugo had organized it. He'd invited everyone from the company. Plus Callum's university friends. People I'd never met. I wore a black dress I'd bought from Emmons. It was the only black dress I owned. Petra had offered to take me shopping for something more suitable but I said no. I don't know what more suitable meant and I didn't want to find out. The room was huge. There must have been 80 people there. Maybe more. I sat in the front row. Hugo sat next to me. Petra was on his other side. There was a table at the back with sandwiches and sausage rolls. I remember noticing one of the sandwich platters had egg mayo and thinking Callum hated egg mayo. Stupid thing to notice. People kept coming up to me and saying sorry for my loss. I smiled and said thank you probably 40 times. My face hurt from smiling. Hugo gave a speech first. He talked about how Callum was a visionary. How he built something from nothing. How he was a genius and a brother and a friend. Everyone nodded. A few people cried. Then Hugo looked at me. His expression changed. It went sort of hard. He said Callum had been under a lot of stress the last year. He said Callum never complained but Hugo could tell. He said marriage was supposed to be a partnership. A support system. I felt my stomach drop. I knew what was coming. I don't know how but I did. Hugo said that some people didn't understand the pressure that came with building an empire. Some people just wanted the nice house and the easy life. Some people didn't appreciate what they had. The room went very quiet. Someone coughed. Hugo looked right at me and said I was the reason Callum never had peace in his life. He said Callum had confided in him. Said he felt trapped. Said he couldn't breathe in his own home. I felt everyone's eyes on me. I could hear the air conditioning humming. My shoes were too tight. I'd bought them the same day as the dress and hadn't broken them in. I didn't say anything. I just sat there. I smiled a little because I didn't know what else to do with my face. Petra reached over and squeezed Hugo's hand. Like he'd done something brave. A few people shifted in their seats. Someone near the back whispered something. But no one said anything to defend me. No one stood up. I thought about leaving. Just walking out. But my legs felt like they were made of something heavy. Hugo sat back down. He didn't look at me. The room slowly started moving again. Someone else got up to speak. One of Callum's university friends. He told a story about a rugby match. I stopped listening. That's when I noticed her. The receptionist from Callum's office. I'd met her maybe twice. Once when I dropped off Callum's lunch because he'd forgotten it. Once at a Christmas party. She had dark curly hair and always wore cardigans. I didn't know her name. She was sitting near the middle. She was staring at me. Not in a mean way. More like she was trying to figure something out. She looked confused. She kept glancing from me to Hugo and back again. Her eyebrows were pulled together. No one else was looking at her. Everyone was watching the university friend tell his rugby story. She picked up her glass of water. Drank half of it. Put it down. Picked it up again. I watched her out of the corner of my eye. She looked like she was having an argument with herself. The rugby story ended. A few people laughed. Someone else got up to speak. The receptionist was still staring. She bit her lip. Then she stood up. It wasn't dramatic. She just sort of rose from her chair. But because everyone else was sitting, it drew attention. The person speaking trailed off. Everyone turned to look. The receptionist's face went a bit red. She clearly hadn't thought this through. But she stayed standing. "I'm sorry," she said. Her voice was quiet. "I don't mean to interrupt." Hugo frowned. "Can we help you?" She looked at me. Then at Hugo. I'm sorry, but I can't sit here and listen to this." The room was completely silent now. "Listen to what?" Hugo said. His voice had an edge to it. The receptionist swallowed. "You're talking about Lorna like she was some kind of burden. Like she made Callum miserable." "I think I knew Callum a bit better than you did," Hugo said. "Maybe," she said. "But I answered his phones for 4 years." She paused. No one moved. "Callum had 2 phones," she said. Everyone knew about the work phone. The black iPhone. My heart started beating faster. "The black iPhone wasn't for clients," she said. "It was for Sienna." I'd never heard that name before. Sienna worked for a consulting firm in Manchester. She and Callum had been seeing each other for 3 years. She called the office sometimes when she couldn't reach his second phone. I transferred her through. She sent flowers on his birthday. I signed for them. The receptionist's voice cracked a little. Callum was with Sienna the night of the crash. They were driving back from a hotel in the Lake District. He was in the car with him. She died too. I couldn't breathe. The air in the room felt like it had been sucked out. "The police report listed her as a passenger," the receptionist said. "I saw it on Hugo's desk when I brought in the mail. He was on the phone. The report was just lying there." She looked at Hugo. "You knew. You've known the whole time." Hugo's face had gone completely white. He opened his mouth but nothing came out. Petra's hand was still on his. He pulled it away. The receptionist sat back down. Her hands were shaking. No one said anything. The silence stretched out. It felt like hours, but it was probably 30 seconds. I stood up. My legs were working now. I picked up my bag from the floor. It caught on the chair leg and I had to tug it free. I walked out. My footsteps sounded too loud on the carpet. No one followed me. No one called my name. I sat in my car in the hotel car park for 10 minutes. Maybe longer. I cried. Not the kind of crying where you sob. Just tears running down my face while I stared at the steering wheel. I wasn't crying because I was sad. I was. But mostly I cried because for 3 weeks I'd been blaming myself. thinking maybe Hugo was right. Maybe I hadn't been enough. Now I knew. I was never the problem. The house feels bigger now. I'm selling it. Moving into a flat closer to my mum. Hugo hasn't called. No one from that memorial has. I still think about Callum sometimes. Not the man I thought I married. The real one. The one I never actually knew.
This was a new video for you guys from this story channel. If you are sure that it was interesting, so please like and subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching.